Hey, this is Nicole Bandis, and I think I got her on the right side this time. We'll have to see. I am starting my, what was I going to call that? I'm starting my Stash Down series. And in this series, if you know from my goals from the beginning of the year, my goal is to reduce my stash by 2,000 grams for the year. I'm not on a no buy kind of plan. I can buy yarn, but my goal is to use more yarn than I purchase this year. And so far, I've only decreased my stash by 202 grams. So I don't think that at this point in the year, I'm doing that great overall. I mean, it's moving in the right direction, just not very fast because I'm still buying more yarn than I'm using up. So my plan is to do a stash down. And what my thought process is on this is I want to still work on the longer term projects that take me, a few weeks at a time. But in the meantime, I also want to do some short turnaround projects, things that I can just kind of whip out. They might take me less than a week. Some of them might take me, just a few hours. It just kind of depends. And here's my plan for that. So I have this little cup, and each of these has a different project on it. Now, if you've never seen this idea, if you are one of those households where you have a hard time picking something for dinner, for example, this is a brilliant idea. It's a brilliant solution. My husband and I use it for weekend breakfasts because he loves to cook weekend breakfasts. Pancakes, waffles, breakfast bowls, you name it. What he does not like to do is to select what is being cooked. And I'm not a big fan of that either. I'm like, whatever you cook is fine. So what we've done is we've written down all our favorite breakfast options for him to cook on a little popsicle stick and stuck it in there. And whenever we're like, I don't know, whatever you feel like. I mean, we have the right to say, no, I'm feeling like this. But if we don't know, then we can just go in and draw out a stick, and that's what he makes, provided we have all the ingredients. So this is a genius idea for those of you that kind of get into that paralysis of, I don't know what to do for this. And it works for everything. Kids' chores, perfect. It doesn't matter. This is a great idea. Go get some popsicle sticks. They're cheap. I'll link to them on Amazon. But honestly, you can go to Dollar Tree probably and pick up a bunch of these for $1.25. So that's my little tip for you. Okay, so I have already written out a bunch of little projects to work on. And they're all things that, while I may not have already created something like that, I feel like it would be easy enough for me to whip out in less than a week and use up, it might not be more than, 10 or 15 grams because, I've got some hair accessories in there. Hair accessories don't use a lot, but it's inching me towards that goal of 2,000 grams for the year. So let's pick out our first one and we'll get started. All right. Oh, and the other rules. So when I was first devising this, I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to have like one for what I'm going to create, one for different kinds of yarns that I want to use up, and then one for hook size, and I'm just going to randomly pick from all of those. And then I realized, yeah, I'm not that much of a glutton for punishment. That would be like, could you imagine making a shawl with a 15 millimeter hook in lace weight yarn? Yeah, that's not going to happen. Okay. I mean, it probably would work, but I'm not that adventurous at this point, so I'm not going to go down that road. So I have the right, once I pick the object that I'm going to create, I get to choose the yarn and the hook size that are, and the actual pattern. So like I have purses and bags in there. Today I might, if I pick that one, I might feel like doing a market bag. I might do like a backpack style. And I can pick the yarn and the hook size that works for me, the actual project, all of those details. I want to, at least at this phase, have a little bit of control over it so I don't dread this whole thing. So, all right, let's pick one. What are we going to pick today? A house plant. Okay, so I have made a house plant before. I made a succulent, and I think it came out adorable. I have had it on my to-do list to make more of these. One of the things that's sort of stopped me is I don't have a lot of green yarn. There is not a lot of this in my stash. I do have some, so I think I can pull this off, but there's not as much as I would like. So let me go figure out what kind of yarn I'm going to use and what pattern, and we'll get going with that. Okay, so I've picked the pattern. I'm going to use this one right here, and I will link to that down below. I think this one's going to be easy enough for me to whip out, and I do have some of this 24/7. I'm still fighting that cold a little bit. Like, I mostly feel fine, but there's still a little congestion, a little bit of head cold stuff going on. But this is the 24/7 Lion brand in the colorway Grass. So, I mean, you can't get more perfect for a project that is plant related, right? And because the one that I'm going to do is a succulent, I wanted to do something that wasn't quite as rich forest green, because I live in Arizona. If you see succulents, they're not dark. Plants in Arizona are not as dark green as they are other places, because the darker the color, the more sun they absorb, and they already get plenty of sun, so they don't need to be dark. So that's why I'm going with the lighter green, and I have plenty of this, so I know I'm not going to run out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The pattern calls for a 2.5 millimeter hook. Not my favorite. I don't generally like to use the smaller hooks, but we'll make it work. So let's get started. Let's move on to project number 2, because I want to do at least 2 per video that I'm doing of these, maybe more. Depends on how often I do these videos, but I definitely have lots of yarn to go through. So let's see. And I gotta tell you, I left one of these sticks on my table and my husky ate it. She likes wood. Okay, so let's see, what's this one? Bag or purse. That's actually really appropriate, because in my big yarn haul that I just did, I bought some yarn specific for making a purse for a friend of mine, and so perfect timing. Let's get started on that. Okay, so here's the bag that I made that she's been absolutely loving, and she wanted something with the beach vibes. And I want to actually I want to improve on this pattern and make it something that I can actually put out possibly. But I'm going to go ahead and get started on kind of recreating this overall design for her. And this is the yarn that I'm going to use for that. So I don't love this one for the base, but I think it'll be okay. I happen to already buy it. It's the only tan that I have at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and use it, and we'll go ahead and get started on it. I will see you when I'm finished. Okay, so I wanted to report in on how my 2 quick projects, kind of my stash down projects, went so far, and what has come of them, really, is kind of what it happened. There's something brewing because of this whole stash down, and I want to share a little bit of that with you. So first of all, My first dash down was the house plant, and so I created this little succulent. I'm not thrilled with him. He's okay. Not my favorite, but it was a good use of, I think, 13 grams of yarn. So there is that. And then the other one that I drew was a purse or a bag. And so I wanted to make another bag sort of inspired off of this one that I had made, I think it was last year. Yes, it had to have been last year because I got this yarn from the Outer Banks and thought it was inspired by the water and the sunset. So I wanted to make a beach inspired bag. And I picked up some of this yarn from the Joann sale. So I thought, you know what? This would make a really nice version of this bag. And while I'm at it, maybe I could work on creating this as a pattern. So I did complete that, and I've already given it to the person that I was planning on giving it to, so I don't have it to show you. And I'm kind of saving it because I am already working on a second one while I'm working on writing that pattern. So that, hopefully, I'm actually thinking that's not going to take me all that long because I sort of had the majority of it already laid out. So that was all kind of good. And I'm not going to do a video on these. You know, I don't know how, I don't have a good setup for doing like a video of my hands. And I am not honestly a confident enough crocheter to record myself crocheting something and trying to teach somebody how to do it through that process. So as much as I would love to do a video tutorial of the bag once it's done, I just don't think that's going to happen. However, I will kind of talk everybody through it a little bit and go over it, but I do plan on having a written pattern. Right now, it's not going to be expensive if it isn't free. It might be free, don't know yet. But if it is, if I do charge for it, it's just going to be a very minimal charge. And I might offer it free for, like a short period of time and then do a charge on it. We'll see. Anyway, that's my thought. And we'll see you next week in another episode of Off the Hook Crochet. Hey, Farah, take us out.